Today on the Big 3 in 30, Syracuse hires school legend Gerry McNamara as its next head coach.
The next head coach of Syracuse basketball is Gerry McNamara.
Michigan State and Tom Izzo are headed to another Sweet 16.
This guy's gone to so many Sweet 16s, and he's so relevant every single year. 28 straight NCAA tournaments.
And Duke gets healthier as it gets ready for the second weekend of the NCAA Tournament.
Patrick Gungba II made his return for Duke basketball.
This is the Big 3 in 30 College, the three biggest stories on campus from our local experts at the Locked On Podcast Network. We bring you the real story, why it matters, what's next, who wins the big game, and more, all in 30 minutes. The Big 3 in 30 College starts now. Thank you for making the Big 3 in 30 your first listen of the day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Syracuse basketball hasn't made the NCAA tournament in 5 seasons, and now the Orange has brought in a familiar face in Gerry McNamara. McNamara is fresh off his Siena team, giving Duke a run for its money in the first round of the NCAA tournament. And Jackson Holzer tells you everything you need to know about his move here on Locked On Syracuse.
Gerry McNamara is set to be the next head coach of Syracuse basketball. On the screen, I put Pete Thamel because that was the first report I saw, but it was also backed by Jeff Borzello, backed by Joe Tipton, and now others are chiming in as well. This is happening. The next head coach of Syracuse basketball is Gerry McNamara. Comment your thoughts right now in the comments section below. Are you excited for the hire? Are you pleased with Syracuse staying within the family and hiring Gerry McNamara? Or are you disappointed? And by the way, if you are someone that is disappointed with this hire, that is okay. You're allowed to be disappointed. You're allowed to feel whatever you want to feel. Because at the end of the day, and I'll give you my thoughts in just a moment here about Gerry McNamara and Syracuse and him becoming the next head coach. But at the end of the day, there's only one thing that matters. Does he win? And is he going to win with Syracuse? That's it. Does he win? Because at the end of the day, if you like the hire, if you love the hire, you don't like the hire, you hate the hire, you like results. You want positive results. And if Gerry McNamara is the one that is delivering positive results, we will be very happy. Now, as far as my thoughts, what do I think of Gerry McNamara becoming the next head coach of Syracuse? I'm not going to run away from what I have said before about Gerry McNamara weeks ago and months ago. But I will also tell you what I have been saying recently about Gerry McNamara. So let's rewind everything. We've known for a long time that there was going to be a regime change with Syracuse. It was going to be the new athletic director, which obviously became Brian Blair. He was going to take over for John Wildhack. And we knew that Adrian Autry and his coaching staff, their days were numbered. We knew that Syracuse ultimately was going to go in a different direction this offseason for their next head coach and their next assistant head coaches and their next GM in all likelihood as well, which ended up happening. We knew they were going in a different direction. At that time, I did not feel that Gerry McNamara was a worthy candidate. I thought that Gerry McNamara was only being thrown out there because he was within the family. And that us Syracuse fans, we obviously know who Gerry McNamara is. You can't tell the story of Syracuse basketball without Gerry McNamara. He is one of the most influential Syracuse players out there. Look what he did in the first half against Kansas of the 2003 national championship game. A team with Carmelo Anthony on it doesn't win if not for Gerry McNamara and all his three-pointers he was hitting in the first half against Kansas in that game. So we all know the history of Gerry McNamara. But up until that point, as a head coach at Siena, he had not proven himself enough, in my opinion. But over the last few weeks, things have obviously changed. And I think more and more people, including myself, started becoming more open to the idea of Gerry McNamara becoming the next head coach. Not necessarily because he is within the family, because he's earned it. So let's talk about it. Why has Gerry McNamara earned the job as the Syracuse basketball head coach? He took over a Siena team in 2024 that the previous season had won just 4 games. Obviously, not good. A 4-win season, no matter what level, is really bad. In his first year, 2024-2025, Gerry McNamara and Siena shows substantial improvement. They win 14 games. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that 14 wins is good. It's not good. Hence why I've been saying for a long time that I didn't feel he had proven himself yet. But 4 wins to 14 wins, pretty good. That's good progress, as we would call it. It's not the end goal. If he had 3 seasons of winning 14 games, I wouldn't say that's good, but from a year-over-year turnaround, solid 4 wins to 14. Okay. What does he do this year? Well, all he does is win the conference tournament. So he takes Siena to the NCAA tournament for the first time since, I want to say 2010 was the last time they were in the tournament. So he takes Siena to the tournament for the first time since 2010. Mind you, Syracuse hasn't been in the tournament in over 5 years. So that's good. We want someone who's been in the tournament before. And I know it's only 1 game. It's 1 game. We can't overreact to 1 game. But we can also react to the game. 16 seed Siena going up against the top overall team in the tournament, the Duke Blue Devils, who, by the way, yesterday, Saturday, March 21st, steamrolled through TCU. Gerry McNamara and Siena were up 11 at the half against Duke. And in the second half, they had Duke on the ropes. It would have been arguably the greatest upset ever pulled in NCAA tournament history. Obviously, there are others that are out there. Fairleigh Dickinson beating Purdue, UMBC beating Virginia. You would be able to put Siena over Duke right up there with those two as the biggest upsets. Now, unfortunately for Siena and Gerry McNamara, it didn't happen. He did not win the game. But the fact that they were right there till the very end, I think, is what ultimately had, including myself, a lot of people saying, you know what? That was a fabulous audition. He was able to take that Duke team with those Siena resources and take them to the brink. Meanwhile, you look at Syracuse, and I know they don't have the resources that Duke has, but they have substantially more than Siena, and they get blown out every single time they play Duke. Every time they get destroyed, they get demolished. That means something. I thought it was brilliant, given the circumstances, that he pushed all 5 of his starters to play 40 minutes. He had to. He had no choice. You can go look at the circumstances of that game. You can also take into account that this is not a Monday night in January against some no-name team from the MAC conference. This is Duke in the NCAA tournament. Go down with your best. Go down swinging. And that's what he did. So ultimately, I like it. I like the move. Gerry McNamara is the next head coach of Syracuse basketball.
The tournament is here, and it's one of the best times of the year. Brackets, buzzer beaters, upsets. It's nonstop action from tip to final cutdown. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a way to stay in the action all tournament long. Here's the best part. You get up to $300 back in bonus bets every day for 10 days. That means 10 chances to stay involved throughout the tournament. You can mix it up however you want. Game picks, futures, or even same-game parlays for bigger potential payouts. It's perfect for the tournament because every day there's something new. Different matchups, new storylines, and more ways to get involved as the bracket unfolds. So visit FanDuel.com to sign up today. That's FanDuel.com to get in on the action.
Welcome back to the Big 3-30 College. The Michigan State Spartans will play in another Sweet 16 with Coach Tom Izzo after beating Louisville in the second round. To go over that win and look ahead to next weekend, here's Matt Sheehan with Locked On Spartans.
Let's tie up some loose ends from the previous weekend because we kind of went a little over the 24-hour rule here, or kind of on the 48-hour rule, but we will flip the page here in a second. Before that, though, What are you still not over from this weekend? And that's a broad question. Is it just simply the 17th Sweet 16 berth under Tom Izzo? Is it someone's individual play? What caught your eye that you're still thinking about on this fine Monday, Connor?
What's catching my eye is social media. I think Iz has a lot of disrespect on his name outside of like the Spartan Nation.
It's pretty nice.
Go and do it. Like, this is the norm, right? Like, you got to start respecting this man at some point if you're not part of Spartan, Nation. And Hurley mentioned it post game, but like, this guy's gone to so many Sweet 16s and he's so relevant every single year. 28 straight NCAA tournaments. Like, Sweet 16 is not a given, and the fact that he's able to do it so consistently, and we're not getting draft picks, lottery picks, 5 stars coming into our campus every single year. It's amazing what he's able to do, and people got to start putting he's got a lot of respect on his name, but like he gets a lot of hate on social media, and we need to forget about all that.
There was one big outlet, and it is part of my take, one of my favorite podcasts. They actually give Izzo a lot of love, saying it must be sick to be a Michigan State fan because your season pretty much starts in the Sweet 16 more years than not. So major credit goes to them. But yeah, for all the haters out there that wonder, oh, why is he Mr. March? He won his last title 27 years ago. Like, that is true, but we're talking 17 Sweet 16s. His record on day 2 games of a weekend is phenomenal. So I also wanted to get to this point too, but this was seen in a hype video that came out of the weekend, and it's not the first time I've heard something of this ilk. But he told his players, get us through this weekend, we'll get you through the next weekend. As someone that's been in the locker room, has experienced that firsthand, I guess it's obviously not cliche. It's true. What's different about this week than the last week of preparation, if you can go back and remember the glory days here, Connor?
Yeah, so I think he said that, but I think he typically says that, and he means like get us through the first game, and then we're going to get you through the second game. Because we have a lot of time to scout. So like, this is the first game is going to be on the players. The second game is going to be more up to the coaches, getting that scout ready beforehand, depending on what team we're going to play. So I don't know if I haven't heard him say that quote yet. So I was a little taken back when I heard the same thing. I was like, I think he messed that up, but you know what, whatever. I don't know if they got new strategy, new structure or what, but I guess we're going to let Iz take us through to the Final Four, and that's fine with me.
Sure, that plays here. I mean, look, before we go on and we talk about this upcoming weekend and, just some other line items that I just want your thoughts on here. I did want to go back and reiterate what I talked about on the postgame show against Louisville, is just how Loctite that defense seemed, and especially on short notice, as we all know. It seemed like everyone was so assignment sound. Who to fight over on ball screens with? Who are we going to sag off of? Yeah. I mean, that's just picture perfect Michigan State in the tournament basketball. Was there anything that caught your eye as a former player, or is it kind of along the lines of, yeah, these guys seem really defensively sound with a game plan in less than 48 hours to prepare for the game?
Yeah, it's definitely, I thought we played a hell of a game defensively, right? Like, we had a couple miscues. Our offense wasn't as sound at times. And that's what we have to live with, because that's consistently what it's been. It's like, is our offense going to be there? Are we going to make shots? The one thing that we can do and control is our defense and our preparation. Yeah. So that second game, I know our guys were locked in right after we won our first round. Got through that, had Louisville. And I know right after our first game, we're eating dinner, watching film, going to bed, watching more film, getting walked through. Shout out scout team. They were doing their thing in the hotel room. That's right. In the ballroom where we have our walkthroughs, like getting all of the plays, all the scouts, all the tendencies for each player. Who, like you said, who are we going to go over on? Who can we not let shoot? Who are we going to sag off on, go under screens? And then if we do that, if we go over screens, our big Coop and Jax are I just love having them as veteran players, because if we do go over screens, like, they're not letting someone get downhill on us. Like, they're going to give our guard time to get over and get back in front. So, and then our weak side's got to tag the big when they roll. So, like, all of that stuff is being taken care of. And I just like the way that we looked in terms of what can we control. And we did a good job.
And we'll get into UConn here in a little bit, but yeah, I'm glad that they actually have days to prepare for UConn, who does all sorts of flashy things off ball with their movement. Hurley has not gotten to this place by accident. He's some of the best in the game. So yeah, having will this be 4 or 5 full days before the game tips off? I'll take that.
Yeah.
I do like MSU in a quick turnaround, but I also enjoy having nearly a full week to prepare for this Hurley offense. That'll be nice, Connor. So
yes, I agree. We got a day on them, so we were definitely watching their game yesterday. They had to travel. We were probably eating dinner, watching the game together, going through some things, and then we're really going to start locking in today.
Dumb question. Does that matter, having an extra day? I mean, obviously, that could be kind of marginal, but it seems like March Madness games can be won in the margins. Is that a massive advantage, or is that just kind of minuscule, do you think?
Right now, with us sitting in the shoes that we're sitting in today, I think it does matter. But if I was UConn, I'd be like, it doesn't matter, right? Like, it depends on what side of the fence you're on. But with us right now, I think it was a huge advantage for us to get home, relax, probably have an off day in terms of nothing to do with, the body, like not getting into full court presses during scrimmages and stuff like that. Like we're taking it easy. We're relaxing. We're watching film, probably watching a little bit more film on that Louisville game and focusing on ourselves. And just what could we have done better? How could we have scored? How could we have made better reads? What defense is going to come at us? Like, how can we get better in the next game and work on ourselves? And then we probably ate dinner, watched the first half of the game. They probably sent them off. We got to relax where, UConn's playing a game that was, I would just say it's in our advantage. Yeah. Right. Like they got home yesterday, probably late. Now they got to focus on us. And we already knew who we were focusing on yesterday.
Speaking of watching the Louisville tape, talk about how you can get better. This is a tweet from Kenny Jordan. So he was at the Tom Izzo press conference today. And this was about Jordan Scott calling Tom Izzo to say, quote, he just realized what he did wrong in Saturday's game versus Louisville. Like I said, if you can't self-evaluate, it's hard to improve. So Jordan Scott, we've talked about it. It's been 7 straight games scoring in just single figures. That's after he started nonstop scoring in double figures when he got the starting role. Seems like we've hit a little bit of a freshman wall, which is understandable because a lot of minutes are being put in high effort defensively for him.
Right.
But that's just another great anecdote of, okay, well, even if it's not working offensively, this kid's still going to be a massive factor moving forward because, Connor, when I look at this UConn matchup, there's one thing I'm worried about. It is more the defensive side of the ball for Michigan State. If you can just show up with your A game there.
Yep.
I'm dreaming of that Elite Eight, man. I got to say, sure, on offense, you got to score at least 65 points, you would imagine. I would like a lot more, but, man, my first thought in this matchup is, okay, tighten it up defensively. You got to have your best and also rebounding. Do you have any early thoughts on this UConn matchup coming up?
It's going to be a lot of Carson Cooper and our vets and Jackson Kohler, right? Obviously, they got Caravan. We got to worry about him. He shot it really well yesterday.
Yes.
And he's been there for so long. He has a lot of experience too himself. He's won 2 national championships. He's been through the ringer there. So that concerns me a little bit, just having that level of I've been here, done that sort of thing from their veteran leader that's shooting it really well right now. But they're also big. I mean, they play 4, kind of smaller guards, but then you have Reed, who's just a beast, and he's getting 28 rebounds, in a game. That doesn't make much sense, but he's playing really well. He got in a little bit of foul trouble yesterday. So, can we get him into some foul trouble? Can we get some minutes where he has to be on the bench and we can take advantage of that? But I really think Carson and Jax are going to have to do a good job of containing him, not letting him get on the offensive glass, not giving them second chance, points from a rebound kick out. Those are the easiest threes to shoot off of an offensive rebound when it's going inside to out. So, and then everyone's collapsing, right? So if he can get a bunch of offensive rebounds and kick them out to wide open shooters, that's the easiest shot in the game and you're in rhythm. So we got to limit that, and that we got to gang rebound and then close out. So I obviously we want to stop Caravan, but we got to control the glass and then try and get out in transition and get, easy points.
The tournament is here, and it's one of the best times of the year. Brackets, buzzer beaters, upsets. It's nonstop action from tip to final cutdown. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a way to stay in the action all tournament long. Here's the best part. You get up to $300 back in bonus bets every day for 10 days. That means 10 chances to stay involved throughout the tournament. You can mix it up however you want. Game picks, futures, or even same-game parlays for bigger potential payouts. It's perfect for the tournament because every day there's something new. different matchups, new storylines, and more ways to get involved as the bracket unfolds. So visit FanDuel.com to sign up today. That's FanDuel.com to get in on the action.
Welcome back to the Big 3 and 30 College. The Duke Blue Devils might have the best team in college basketball when healthy, and Jon Scheyer is getting some key players back on the court as Duke advances in the NCAA Tournament. JJ Jackson looks at the first weekend and what lies ahead for the Blue Devils on Locked On Blue Devils.
Patrick Gongba II made his return for Duke basketball. The Blue Devils win by 23, and for the third straight season, they've made it to the Sweet 16. We bring Jeff Fedotin on into the program. The number 1 overall seed had a tight one with Siena to open up the NCAA tournament. Much more comfortable on Saturday night. Jeff, I hope you're doing well.
JJ, doing well. Always great being on your show. Always great to still be dancing at this time of year.
Yeah, absolutely, man. The fact that Duke still gets to play and has big matchups coming up, the Jon Scheyer versus Rick Pitino of it all a little bit later in the week. We're going to have plenty of conversations about St. John's and what that matchup will look like and whatnot. But specifically for this game against TCU, how about the ride of emotions when you see Patrick Gongba II practiced on Friday going into the game from the clips that the Duke social media team put out, and then arriving into the arena, he's still riding the knee rover scooter, Jeff. He was fooling everybody.
Exactly. Maybe to keep, trying to just save him up for that game. It seemed to have worked. That was obviously a big storyline of the game. And it was good and bad. He showed obvious rust, that he had 4 turnovers. But at the same time, you got that high-low passing game between him and Cam Boozer. So that was the positive. The negative, obviously, some fouls and those turnovers. But most importantly, they've done such a good job. They haven't lost since they haven't lost a game since his injury. But we know to really go where we want to go, we need Big Pat in the lineup.
Yeah, got to have the big fella out there to help with everything. And yes, there was foul trouble issues, but you didn't feel it as much because you still had Malik Brown and Cam Boozer, whereas in previous games when there was only 2 of the 3 front court players that we're used to seeing this year for Duke, when somebody's in foul trouble, you really start to feel that impact, and that wasn't as much the case here. This is now 2 straight. You mentioned the kind of big-to-big passing, 2 straight games, and we'll see if this happens on Friday against St. John's. I could help out with the scouting report for the Johnnies if I needed to, but both games have started with pretty much identical buckets for Duke. It's been lobs at the rim to Malik Brown. Go back and watch it. The first basket that Duke scored in the game against Siena was a lob up to Malik Brown. The second game against TCU, Cam Boozer from the free throw line floats it up, and Malik Brown was able to throw it down. Gongba got right back in the mix and was able to – that's what makes this Duke offense so versatile. Sure, they can be a little bit streaky shooting the basketball, but if Cam Boozer's not putting his head down and driving to the rim, watch out for the other big players, the postmen, because they're able to kick it out to shooters and lane drivers and that sort of thing.
JJ, that's such a great point. That I watched every play, but that didn't occur to me how the exact same play to start up. Okay, what insight there. And I'm glad you mentioned Malik Brown too, and a good point with how Big Pat just helped having his presence. I mean, he had such a fantastic game in the second round there. I mean, his line 4 for 5 from the field, 12 points, 9 rebounds. He's such a defensive presence that anything he can get from offense points wise is just kind of gravy. But 12 and 9, we'll take that every day of the week.
Yeah, that's a huge game by Malik standards. And a lot of people, I was in the conversation, okay, Big Pat's back. Does that mean he immediately goes back into the starting lineup? What does this kind of look like? And I know Duke was wanting to be a little cautious with the minutes that you're putting out there on the big fella in his first game back. But no, they kept it the same. Malik Brown was the starter. Malik Brown received the message. He didn't change his game whatsoever and became such a big focal point of what Duke wanted to do offensively, in particular there in the first half. What they got out of Brown, Sarr with his 3-point shots, Isaiah Evans both driving the lane and knocking down a couple of shots from the outside. They carried Duke, because if you would have told us at halftime of the TCU game that only 4 points would be scored by Caden and Cam Boozer combined, it would have been like, uh-oh, this is not good. considering the run that Duke's been on. And yet it was totally fine. The rest of the guys stepped up. Duke had a 4-point lead at halftime and was able to build on that in the second half. But yeah, at the break, Jeff, if you would have said Boozer Twins only 4 points, we're in a world of trouble.
Yeah, I felt kind of good going into the second half considering that. I'm like, wow, Duke is up by 4 and the Boozers have done so little. We've seen Cameron Boozer do this before, most notably actually in game 1 against Texas, which ended up being a preview of 2 teams in the Sweet 16 who thought that would have happened but that game he did very little in the first half scoring wise, and then they had a big second half. He often just, he's such a winner and he puts up these big numbers, but he really lets the game come to him. He's almost sometimes too unselfish. So, that's just his game. I covered that Duke Arkansas game where he had 35 points, but in the first half, he was actually a little bit slow. Shire even pulled him for an extended bench time. That's just the way he likes others to get into the flow. And then when they really need it in crunch time, he turns it on just like he did against TCU. But yeah, thankfully for Malik Brown and Isaiah Evans to keep Duke afloat in the first half. And then, Duke didn't look great in that first half, but I'm like, yeah, if he's 0 for 1 from the field, Cam Boozer, like that bodes well for the rest of the game. If you can have a 4-point lead with that little production from the best player in the land, I was feeling okay, a little nervous. You always get a little nervous, March Madness, but overall, I was optimistic going in that second half.
Oh yeah, they come back, they tie it at 40, they tied it at 42. I mean, I was sweating and trying to figure out a way to get Duke to a win, doing my part as all of us Duke fans out there are trying to see this team through. You think about, though, in the second half, 17 points for Cam Boozer. So he definitely got the wake-up call and the message there. Sarr was knocking down big shots. And if people want to point to the free throw disparity that's there, I mean, TCU's just hacking Duke. They're taking good shots, and they're going to the free throw line to knock it down. 23 free throw attempts for Duke compared to just 10 for TCU. Duke very good at the free throw line, though, going 20 of 23, many points throughout the year. That was one of our concerns going into March Madness. And knock on wood, because we still have more games to go if we ultimately want to win this thing. Got to win 4 more games to be national champions and come out on top. But I was really pleased with the free throw shooting performance that we got in this game.
JJ, great minds think a lot. I have that in my note. I'm like, well, we'll break down the box score at some time, and the free throws were huge. How about we've talked already about the performance from Malik Brown. As good as he's been all year, of late he's had issues at the free throw line. He had some.
Yeah. I'm glad you're pointing Malik out in this.
Yep. And I was worried, that it was becoming a mental thing. He hits 3 or 4 from the line. That was huge. So yeah, the free throw. That was such a worry early in the year, and like you said, credit to Duke for what they've done in the tournament. They've been really good at the free throw line. That's really saved them.
That's all for today's Big 3 and 30 College. If you follow pro basketball or football, the Big 3 and 30 has shows for the biggest news in the NBA and NFL going up every weekday just like this one. Just search the Big 3 and 30 NBA or the Big 3 and 30 NFL wherever you're listening or watching now. Thanks again for tuning in to the Big 3 and 30 College.